All right, welcome back everybody to the D.I.Y. Tool Shed Podcast. I am your host, Tony Sandoval. I'm here this week to talk about tools again. I know we talked about tools last time, but this time we're going to get a little bit more specific. We're going to talk about tool brands and tools that just work, regardless of brand or anything like that. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. First of all, I'm not really that much of a brand fanboy. Might seem like it because I talk about like Works brand or Bosch or Milwaukee. I have my favorites, my traditional favorites, things that I've come to rely on. But that doesn't mean I'm going to just, mindlessly go, oh, well, I need a new one of these. It's got to be, this brand. I look for what works. Sometimes I'll have a brand that'll let me down, and just about everything else they've had something that is really, usually is really top notch, and then they can drop it big time on another one, and I really needed that. Sometimes you have brands that really have not great reputations, and they can turn around and put something out that is, wow, knock your socks off really good. So it's fine. I'm not going to knock anybody. You want to have your favorite, that's great. But it goes from, I got my favorite, I have my preferred, to being a fanboy where all reason and logic just goes out the window, and you're going to get that tool or recommend that tool, even though they may have not gotten it on that particular item. I look for what works, and I'm willing to say, hey, normally this brand is, reliable and my go-to, but I'm not always going to buy it or recommend it until I try it myself or see it in action myself, because sometimes they can flub it. Probably I could say the most common fanboyism out there that I see is usually from Milwaukee, or even DeWalt has got their fanboys where they can do no wrong, and I'm like, well, I got bad news for you guys. Sometimes Milwaukee and DeWalt can flub it, and I'm not knocking either brand. I love both of them. My dad was a Milwaukee guy. He loved Milwaukee brand tools. I like Works. I'm an old school Craftsman guy. I remember Craftsman was the go-to, and I still have a kind of a lean towards Craftsman. I have a lean towards Bosch, and now I've got a lean towards Works as well. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be willing to check out other brands on a given tool based on combination of things. Price is one. What I need it to do being another one. Sometimes brands put out a tool and, okay, here's our version of this, it could be some kind of a saw, or something. And you're like, well, I need one, but I only need one that does this much. There is a point of overkill in some things. Too much power or more horsepower or more torque or more, you figure it out. And that's more than what you need. You need something that does more fine work. You need something that does something a little bit different. And to just get that one would be too much, or maybe not enough. You need something with more horsepower. You need something a little bit more tougher, more durable. And that one that's just not it. So maybe your brand, but it just isn't what you need. Go for what you need. That's the key point. Never buy a tool just because of a brand name. Start there. Be a fanboy and start there, but don't only go there. Don't just say, I can only have this brand. You're shooting yourself in the foot. And you actually end up making the brand look worse. Most of these brands, believe it or not, really would prefer honest reviews and not fanboyism. Everybody likes, all companies like fanboys. They like their people, their customers to go out and just, go all out on them. But when you go have people who will actually be less than honest or overkill on something and try to oversell things to other people, it could actually damage their reputation, because other people are saying, oh, well, this guy says Milwaukee or DeWalt or Works or whatever, and I went out and got it, and that was just, it stunk. And after a while, more and more of these people who are listening to the fanboys get it and realize the fanboys are just being fanboys and aren't really paying attention to the actual quality of the tool, and it works against the company and it works against the brand. If it's your favorite brand, if that's your major lean-to, your major go-to, don't do that to them. Be honest. Let the company know. Hey, I'll drop the ball on this one. You need to fix this, this, and this. Get it back up to your standards or whatever, They appreciate that. They really do. I've talked to guys who are brand reps, who are actually working for those companies to design and make those tools work better, to live up to their brand reps. And they don't want false representation. They don't want fanboyism to the point of, we're going to cheer it even though it's not the best thing to ever come out of there. They don't like that. They don't need that. They want their brand to keep going because of its reputation, not despite its reputation. For example, and I'm not trying to diss, a company here, because all companies have good and bad, positives, negatives. But like Win, I picked up a couple of years ago. I picked up a rotary tool, and it's a Win. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of things in the DIY and tool buyer community. Win probably not going to be up in your top categories of tools. Okay, it happens, but I was looking online, and I looked at Dremel, and I looked at all the other brands out there. You stop by Home Depot, you stop by Menards and all those places, and you play with them and you look at them. And then, of course, I get online and I went to Amazon, because that's what I do, because I hate shopping. But get online and I start price matching, and I start checking out different tools. And then I look at the reviews, and I see all these rotary tools come up, and here's a Win, and it's got a really good price. And it's huge, got huge ratings. It's like, 4.8 stars out of 5 out of like 3,000 reviews, which is quite an accomplishment. I'm telling you now. It was just phenomenal. And I'm really looking at this because I was trying to put together that high of a review, that high of a rating with Win. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem to match. And I kept looking, and I read some of the reviews, and a lot of them were people who were like, wow, I'm surprised this turned out, and for the price I couldn't pass it up. And I said, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. It's not all that expensive, and I need another rotary tool. So I went and I got one. I got the Win, and I ordered it, and as soon as it came, I brought it out, busted the box open, and all right, let's get to it. And that was almost 2 years ago, something like that. And this tool has not let me down. I use it for all kinds of stuff. Detail sanding. I use it for engraving. I use it for tapping. I use it for all kinds of stuff. And it does not let me down. This is one of the better tools I've bought, and it's a Win. So that's why I say you can't entirely judge a tool just by the brand name. I love this Win rotary tool, You'll never get me to stop looking at Craftsman. You'll never get me to stop looking at Bosch or even Works now. But I will bypass those if I find something that I see is a good tool somewhere else. Good price, good ratings, good reviews. It just, don't be such a fanboy that you overlook some, a treasure out there. You don't want to do that to yourself. So that's part of that. Fanboyism is not always a good thing to be when it comes to tools. You want to be more open-minded, So there's that. Okay, be selective about your tools. Be open-minded about your tools. Different tools can do different things, like I said, I like the Works brand. Works is a DIY brand. I mentioned that in the last episode. Love Works as a general brand now, as a cordless tool brand. Believe it or not, I'm not sold on their corded tools. I'm really not. Every corded tool I've tried from them, I've had a little bit of displeasure with it. It's not, not in my top 10, so to speak. But the cordless tools, loving them. It's like it's two totally different companies as far as I'm concerned. So there's that, I like DeWalt. I've got some good DeWalt. I love DeWalt drills. I've got, all kinds of different brands. The Works brand is one of my newer favorite. Like I said, I like Craftsman. God, I love my old-fashioned Craftsman. Craftsman is gone. They've changed owners. They've changed who makes their stuff over the years. They used to be the go-to for everything, and their quality kind of slipped a little bit because they changed, who manufactured for them, and it's gone back and forth here and there. I still generally am compelled to be drawn towards Craftsman, to at least look at it and check them out as one of my first options. Out of sentimentalism, probably. But, it's a thing. That's my thing. But just because it's a reliable, or it's been a historically reliable brand doesn't mean, again, that they can't change, because companies are changing manufacturers who makes the tool for them. Because you've got, basically a handful of companies that are making the same tools under different labels, under different brands. It's the same thing. They just swap colors, swap a label on it with a brand name on there. You got to watch out for that. Also, a lot of tools are just, a matter of changing specs. The entry-level tool is made of aluminum. Otherwise, it's the exact same specs, and it's made out of plastic for the lesser. They'll change, certain little things like that, and all of a sudden now it's a lower entry brand tool because they change what it's made of, the casing. But otherwise, it's the same thing, for by and large. Look at those things, because if the plastic one does what you need, go for it. I mean, just because it's an entry-level tool, or what they brand it as an entry-level tool, doesn't mean it's not going to get the job done for you. Get what gets the job done for you. And think ahead a little bit. Is this something you're going to be doing a lot of? Is this something you can foresee yourself doing more of, more frequently, getting more deeply into it? Then you kind of want to shoot for, okay, I need something that's, say entry-level now, just so I can get this one job done. But I kind of already am interested, and, I'm probably, I might see myself going a little further, keep doing it, blah, blah, blah. And so don't get that entry level. Get the mid-level tools. That way you can grow into it, and you have a reliable tool for a longer period of time, instead of buying, an entry-level price point, and then you turn around 3 months later and say, I'm going to go ahead and get this one, and you've spent all that money when you could have just had the midpoint one right away, based on a little forethought. Think about things a little bit. Don't be so... We got a lot of tool guys out there, a lot of y'all, you love your tools and you love playing with them, and you just say, new tool, new toy, buy it, and then all of a sudden, it's not enough, or you're going to do more with it than you thought, now you're buying, different ones, more, bigger. You spend money where you don't need to, and trust me when I can say, as a beekeeper, there's a meme out there that says, hey, get your kids into beekeeping, then they'll never have enough money to get into drugs and alcohol because you're spending it all on your bees and all that. When you're a DIY person, whatever your DIY takes form as, whether it's beekeeping or refinishing furniture, or renovating, old tools, or whatever it is, whatever your DIY interest is, that doesn't matter as much as how you go about it. If you really invest yourself, you're always going to be looking for the next, I can do this to it now too. Here's the next step. And think about those things before you go spending all that money, because you're going to regret it later on if you haven't put any thought into it. You just, either a spouse is going to get on you, hey, you just bought, X amount of money's worth. Don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself in that position. Think a little bit. Don't get so wound up and just go exploding off into the atmosphere. So, and let's take a minute to think about, because that takes us right into the next topic it's not just, brands and dealing with what works. But what is DIY really? I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it brought into, DIY, beekeeping, DIY flooring, DIY, painting, DIY. You can put DIY in front of anything, and it can apply. It really can. Because really, DIY is not a specific task. DIY is an attitude. Seriously, you'll see me post this as a, all over the place when I post things. I hashtag, and I will put DIY is an attitude, because it surpasses. It goes beyond a simple task or set of tasks. It goes beyond a specific hobby, because it's more about what you think that you can do, your confidence, your ability, or you're deciding to put your foot down and say, I'm going to do that. I can do that, or I'm going to give that a shot. See if I can do that. I want to give that a shot. I want to try it. I want to do it for myself. That's what it boils down to. DIY is an attitude. You have to have it in your mind that you're going to do this. You can do this, or at least you can give it a shot. Don't sell yourself short. And then you move on to beekeeping, or woodworking, or glass blowing, or blacksmithing, or painting, or pick whatever. Doing your own roof, re-roofing your house. I'm going to fix the stairs on my house. I'm going to build a new handrail. I'm going to do the drywall in my living room. I am going to build a new cabinet, build a whatever. It doesn't matter. The task is secondary to the mindset, to the attitude. You got this. You can do this. You will do this if you think you can. If you believe that it's possible for yourself, that's where it all starts. The tools come in next, and the actual task is third in line, because you have to have the mindset and the tools before you ever get to actually doing it. So there you go. DIY is an attitude. It's all about what you think you're going to do, you can do, you will do. What you're not going to, let yourself be stopped by, by cost, by, you can have all kinds of excuses to do something yourself. I could hire a contractor to do my roof, but it cost me that amount. I could do it for half that price. How many people have ever, y'all out there told a contractor, I could do that myself for half the price? Well, then do it. That contractor does not need your attitude, your negative attitude, because you don't want to pay his price. You don't want to pay his price? Then do it. And be proud of what you do. You've learned a new skill. And you might have an excuse. I don't have the time, or I don't have the tools, or I don't have the whatever. You know what? They rent tools. You can buy tools. You can take time off of work if you get some days of vacation or whatever. It's just an excuse to try to talk a guy down off his price. But you know what? You're doing them a disservice, because they're coming out, they're spending you're not paying just for them to come out and bring their tools and do the work. You're paying for the experience they have, the knowledge they have, what they bring to it besides just their tools and their time. Okay? They know sometimes better than you might, because they're doing it all the time. Which is the best material? Which is the better, fasteners for this particular situation or environment? More than you might have even thought of, So don't browbeat these people, these contractors, into trying to talk them down just because you don't like their price. If you walk out and you tell that person, hey, I could do that for half the price, then do it. And I'm not saying that as a negative, as a put down on you. I'm telling you, do it. If you really believe you can, if you really think you can, except for, fill in that blank, the time, the tools, whatever, then make that happen. Because you'll be far happier with the outcome. You'll be more confident. You'll be like the result, because nobody can see that finished project. Nobody can imagine and build that image better than you can in your own mind of what you want the outcome to be. That contractor can get a good idea of a bunch of standards based on a collection of experiences that they've done for a different bunch of people, but it will never be exactly what you see in your mind. And if you want what you see in your mind and nothing else, then you need to do it. You need to set yourself up to get to it and go. So, believe in yourself, have the attitude, put yourself in the position to succeed and fail. You will mess up, especially if it's something you haven't done yet. That's okay. Factor that in. Ooh, I'm going to mess it. I've never done that before. I'm probably going to need some practice takes at it before I get it right, before I get the finished product in there. Plan for failure. Expect failure. Build it in. You think contractors don't? Contractors have to buy more materials, not because they expect to, whatever, because they know real life things happen. You're going to need X amount of wood for this, and they always buy just a little bit more just in case, because they know, it's one, not thinking new apprentice away from, or, an oops there, a missed dimension there, wrong red dimension, something changed in the meantime, some little thing is going to come up, and we need another board, or we need another 5 feet of this pipe, or whatever. It happens. You build it. You factor in for failure. Contractors, professionals do it. DIYers, we're the ones who tend to get overconfident. We're the ones who tend to go and say, hey, I'm going to do this, I need 10 feet, and you buy exactly 10 feet, and then later on you're sitting there like, I got to make a dash because I didn't get more than 10 feet, and now I need 20 feet because I messed the whole board up, or I messed half the board, or the pipe, or whatever. Attitude is great, but thinking is better. Okay, combine the two, and you will be set for success. Man, time flies when you're having fun. We already breezed through another episode. I'm so glad you guys took the time to sit down and listen to me go on about tools and DIY mentality and getting things done. Hopefully, as we build here in the future, well, not hopefully, I actually already have some come in. We're going to have some guests come in and let them talk to you about what they do and how they go about doing it and how you can go about doing it. So we got some really fun stuff coming up in the future. But we got to get there, and so you get to listen to me go on about how great DIY is and how awesome it is to do things for yourself. In the meantime, I hope to see you next time, and get out there, believe in yourself, and you can do it. All right? Y'all have a good one.